Alright, so this video is going to be about the big, mean, scary thing that we know as credit card debt. This is the hugest reason of why some people avoid credit cards at all costs. They swear by cash, they'll never use anything but cash in their debit card and never use credit because they are trying to avoid credit card debt. And if you don't understand what you're doing with credit cards and credit in general, it is very, very easy to slip into credit card debt. So this video is going to talk about why that is and what are some ways that you can take to avoid finding yourself in unnecessary credit card debt. So let's tackle this with an example. Let's say you have a credit card. That's your credit card, and your limit is set at $200. Alright, that's your limit for the month. Credit card limits work by the month. Basically, the bank says you have $200 to spend with your credit card every month. Here you go. Alright, so this is a per month basis. And this month, you feel like going out and buying a new TV. A new TV that is $400. Excuse me, it's $180. It's $180, not $400. Okay? And let's say in your bank account, you've been spending a lot as it is, and you only have, you only have $120 in your bank account. Right? What credit cards allow you to do is, since on your credit line, you still have 200, which is greater than 180. Okay, so with this credit card, you can pay that 180. And remember from my credit versus debit video, you're using not your money from your account, you're using the bank's money, right? The bank. The bank says, I got you covered. I will give you that $180 to pay for that. It's on us. Just pay us back at the end of the month. And so, using your credit card, you go ahead and you spend $180 using the bank's money. So now, your credit card, subtract 180, is now $20 left on your credit card, okay? So this changes from 200 to 20. You have $20 left. Cool? So the bank says they covered you and you pay back at the end of the month. Now keep in mind, we only had $120 in your bank account, your actual wallet, your actual checking account. But since you used someone else's money, you haven't had to pay that back yet until the bill comes. So now, it's the end of the month, and now you got the bill. This is where the bank is asking for their money back. You borrowed, and now it's time to pay up. So now you have this bill. You have this bill for $180. 180. Because that's how much you borrowed to pay for that TV, right? So now you have that bill for $180. The problem is that you only have $120. You only have $120 in your bank account. So you try and you pay off that bill, you have $120. And now you're $60. $60 left on that bill that you didn't pay. Okay, so now you are in debt. This is $60 of debt. You are unable to pay back the bank in full, and now you owe them $60. Now the bank is angry, right? They're like, "Rah! You didn't pay us back in full. We gave you that money, and you signed a contract when you agreed to use a credit card that when you borrow money from us, you pay it back, full and on time. So that's not very cool of you to not pay all our money on time. So now They're a little upset. And what happens when people are upset? They charge you money. And this money that they charge on you will be called interest. Interest, the thing that we don't want. So now, this debt, it carries over to the next month. So let's say you were here, you're $60 in debt. And now for the next month, you're using your card again and stuff. And actually, let's say you don't use your card. So hopefully you think, oh, okay, I'll just pay off that 60 next month. Okay, so this is a new month. I'll just pay it off next month. No big deal. I have like an income, I'll pay it off. No, this is not going to be the same number as that. That does not happen. Since the bank is angry at you, they add on interest. They add interest as a type of penalty, as a fee for not paying on time, alright? You're being punished. Alright, so instead of 60, let's say they tack on like 20%. 20% interest. That's really high. But like, if you've seen credit card interest rates, they are high like that. So 10% is $6, 20% is $12. So now they've added on $12 of interest. So this is not $60. For this new month, you're going to be paying $72 instead. So you have the 60 of your original debt and plus $12 of your interest to add up to that $72. So now instead of paying only $180 for your TV, you paid the $120 from your original bill right here, right? That's the $120. Let me do that in green. It's $120. And then now you're going to be paying this $72, which is your debt plus your interest, and now you're paying $192. Alright, so you're spending extra money. You're spending extra money on interest that you didn't need to do if you had paid off in full. If you had paid off in full in the first place, they wouldn't tack on this interest. This interest only happens when you don't pay on time and you don't pay in full. When they're angry at you, right? That's when you pay interest. So if you had not gone out of your way to buy something that was out of your, that it was money that you didn't have to pay them in the first place, so you shouldn't have bought it, even though you could have. Alright, so this interest, let's say it just keeps going. You're at 72 this month, and you didn't get as much income as you thought the next month. You didn't get as much as you thought, and you were only able to pay $30. Alright, so now you're at 42. So, remember, it carries over to the next month. It's 42 plus a 20% interest. So, 20%, it's like 10% is about $4, and then 20 is about $8. So this kind of increases to $50 now. $50. And for each month that you don't pay, it just carries over and over, and it keeps adding and adding and adding on interest. Right? And that's why it's a big cycle. And now, by the end, you have paid so much more in interest compared to what your original bill of $180 would have been. Alright? That's the cycle of credit card debt. And this was like a, that's not so high of a number, but when you're thinking of like big bills that are like really into the hundreds and hundreds, and this cycle of adding on interest for each month that you're not paying in full, it adds up, and it really hurts you. Okay, so that's the cycle of credit card debt that hangs over for each month. Alright. So this is why I really emphasize paying in full and paying on time. Because if you do that the first time around, if you did that for your first month, you would have avoided all this debt business. Alright, you would have just paid the $180 and been done. So that's why I say use your credit card like a debit card. Use credit card like a debit card. And don't go out buying things with money that you don't even have if you try to pay it back. You only have $120 in the bank, so don't go out and buy things that are more than $120 because you don't have that money. Okay, if you pretend your credit card is a debit card, like it comes straight out of your account the first time and not from the bank, then you avoid all this trouble of interest rates and dealing with that debt. Another way that people can sneakily get, added on interest. This is a very hardcore example of just tacking on interest for every month you're overdue on your payment. There's another sneaky thing that credit cards do. It's this thing called minimum payments. Minimum payments. And what happens on minimum payments is, let's say you have that $180 bill, right, on the TV. Let's say the bank, they say, alright, so this month, your full statement, your full bill is $180. But you have this option, like a payment option, this option to pay a minimum payment, let's say of $30 for this month. Alright? So your first option was to pay in full. Option 1. Just pay the whole thing all at once, the first month. Right? Get it done, over with. Or your second option is to pay a minimum balance of $30. So maybe you're like, wait, Jessica, isn't $30 less than $180? Why wouldn't I want to pay less money? You're all about saving money and all that kind of stuff, so why wouldn't I do that? Here's a problem with that plan, option 2. If you pay this minimum of only $30, what happens is the next month, so this is month 1. That's your first month, right? The month that you actually bought the TV. Now for month 2. It's another minimum payment of $30. So minimum. And you're like, Jessica, this is great. I can pay $30 for 6 months. So all the way down to month 6. Right? Because 30 times 6 is 180. And you're like, this is great. I can pay the whole thing off in the course of 6 months rather than all in one go, right here. The problem is, it does not end here. It does not end here, because instead of paying it all off in the first place, you are extending. You are extending the time it takes for you to pay that bill. And extending how long it takes to pay something back, that's not very reliable. That's not proactive of you. In the bank, they say, we did say that you could, but that's not the ideal option. This is the ideal option. Because you're doing this option, and you're extending, now it's taking 6 months for us to get all our money back from you. They add on interest. They add on interest. So let's say you're paying another $30 for month 7. And maybe even just another 15, just cause of just worth of interest. This is purely from interest, because it's taking you a very long time to pay them back the money, that you borrowed. Okay, so this total over the course of 8 months, that's 180 up here, plus 30, that's 210, plus 15, so 225. So now, even though this is the course of 8 months, this happened in the course of 8 months, you paid $225 in total, compared to your one and done $180 bill. Alright, so again, this is what I say, pay in full and pay on time, the first time. Don't do minimum payments and extend how long it takes you to pay it back. Once you have that bill, just pay it off. If you have the money, pay it off. Because if not, they will add this on. And this was like, what, an extra $45? This is an extra $45 that you were paying. Just because you decide to go with minimum payments instead of just paying it on all in the first go. Okay, and this is just $180. Imagine you're spending a whole lot more on bills and groceries and all your needs and wants that you have in the world. Those are really big numbers. And this interest will only get bigger if you let that stuff like accumulate and, you know, really snowball effect. Okay, so this is also another type of it's like a hidden debt that you don't see, because all you see each month is $30, $30, $30. But if you add them all up together, you're paying all this just because you're late. It's like, it's just a penalty. It's a slap on your wrist, but it's a painful slap. It's money that you don't need to be spending. All you should be spending is how much you are willing to actually put down in the first place. So, to recap here, basically, don't spend money that you don't have, okay? Always keep in mind how much you have in your bank account. Have in mind what you have in your bank account. And don't spend more than that, because you won't have that money to repay back, and you might have to either have that statement go over for each month, and you're adding on interest every single month you do that, or you do the option of minimum payments, and then at the end they're just adding on interest, that kind of thing, and you're paying these fees that you don't need to pay. Okay? With for those of you that do have credit cards, it might not work exactly like this, where they just tax all the income, the interest at the end. It's kind of like built into the monthly payments themselves. But for this video, this is kind of just highlighting how those hidden fees, they like add up in the end. Okay? Alright, so this is credit card debt, and I keep saying, but the easiest way or the simplest way to avoid debt is just paying in full and paying on time, and only using money that you have. Alright, so I hope this was helpful, and hopefully I see you for the next video.